Excelcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Excelcast. I'm your host, Joe Parker, and today I have Matt Lewis. Matt plays right center back for Detroit City FC, and he's looking to do some more business-oriented things coming up here. But it's a pleasure to have him on. Matt, thanks for coming, and thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having us, Joe. Appreciate it. Looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you just want to give us a little bit of background, where you came from, how your professional soccer journey has gone, and, various ups and downs that you've had along the way.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess if we're going to talk about my professional career, we kind of got to date it back to when I was kind of a youngster because, when I was 14, 15, um, the soccer landscape in America kind of shifted towards an academy focus, which meant that you don't play high school. You kind of play 10 months a year with the academy of the MLS team in your area. So at 15, 16 is when I joined on to the academy um, and started playing for Sporting Kansas City. I'm from Kansas City as well. Um, and so I played there for 2 seasons, was successful. But then it was time for me to go to college. So I went to Fordham University in New York. Um, had a really good 3.5 years there. Played 4 years soccer, but graduated in 3.5. Um, and yeah, I got signed as a homegrown that December. That would be 2018. Yeah, 2018. I got signed to Sporting Kansas City as a homegrown player, which I was super prideful about. That was my hometown team. A big milestone for me in my career, especially being my first professional contract, being with my hometown team was pretty cool. And then yeah, then things kind of took a hit a little bit. That first season didn't really go as planned. Didn't perform well enough. Um, some situations didn't lend themselves to me. Like I'm a believer in the professional world. You need timing and opportunity. Um, I and you can take control of those moments when you get them. And it just wasn't my moment. So I kind of fell through the cracks a little bit. Ended up in New York, playing for the New York Cosmos for 2 years. Um, and I say fell through the cracks, but I ended up really loving my time at New York. Got to meet some really cool people. Learned a lot from the coach Carlos Mendez there. He was a great asset to me. He was a center back, played professionally for many years, and was a great center back at that. So I got to play with some really good players, really talented players at New York, and from there made the connection with Trevor James in Detroit, and then made the switch over. And so it's my path is kind of aligned now, and I've had to be a little bit patient and go through the ups and downs of the career to get to this point where I feel happy, I feel um, content with where I'm at, and I can push really really hard in my current team and state. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the main things that you touched on was your first season not going so well. And to make it to a point like that where, you have everything in front of you that you've always wished for, and then to kind of fall through the cracks, as you said, but, have the opportunity to still play professional soccer. But what was that experience like for you mentally, making it and then realizing that it wasn't your time? Do you think you bounced back from that? Do you think, what was your mental process going through all that?
Yeah, I like to think that I'm a mentally tough person, and that first season definitely tested my mental strength and just my belief in myself. I think was a big one as well. I think when you get kicked down a little bit, it's you got two options. Are you gonna listen to others, or are you gonna believe in what you've done and your track record and what you put in your own head? So I kind of had to buckle down and just believe in myself. Thankfully, I have a supporting family and people around me also supporting me. My teammates at the time were very supportive of me, also thinking that I was a good player. And so it was just about, I kind of knew I was good enough. It was just a matter of, okay, I just need an opportunity to prove that and be in the right environment so where I can thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. Have there been any other tough moments that you've had to overcome throughout your career?
I mean, there's been a couple. I mean, one big one is, yeah, I mean, after my second year with the Cosmos, 2020, I lost my father, which was
Mhm.
difficult. And yeah, it's just one of those things where he was a big reason why I played, and so it was like a big kind of intersection point for me. It was like, okay, do I care enough about this individually to continue and move on with it? And the conclusion that I had come to was, um, yes, and also I wanted to prove myself and him right in making my way back up through the ranks. So it was kind of like I had exterior motivation, and it all kind of came together, and I feel proud in the decisions that I made in that moment, and I think he would have been too, in terms of just knowing that I was good enough and just needed an opportunity. I needed an opportunity, really.
Yeah. In that moment, you had a choice of, your dad was a big reason that you played soccer, right? So
Right.
you had a choice to let that dream and what you were doing, playing soccer professionally, die with your dad, or you could make the choice to continue living out that dream for him.
Correct.
And I think you chose the right path because I
Well, I
think,
appreciate that.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I'm super happy with my decision that I made, and yeah, I think it was just it would have been it would have been premature. There would have been some things that I didn't get fulfilled with quitting at that point in time. Um, and so, yeah, I'm happy I stuck with it, and I think he's got a lot of reasons to do with that. And so, yeah, I think it's all worked out well for me since that point.
yeah. Definitely takes a tough mental headspace and a strong headspace to be able to decipher and make decisions like that in a moment of crisis, to be honest. It's a
Right.
crisis moment for you, for your family, and to have to, still be that strong pillar, that strong mental foundation for everyone around you, and also be able to navigate the situations, I believe is a skill. You have to walk yourself through that. You can't just naturally be like that.
Yeah, and even then, it's like I still didn't know what I was doing. Obviously, I was just kind of fumbling through. But you get like little reassurances that you've made the right decisions along the way. Like, for example, since I've been in Detroit, um, Trevor, the head coach, and Tiffany, his wife, and also our assistant GM. Um, Obviously, that was my first experience back with soccer, like right after, and they really took me under their wing a little bit, and just great people. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think they did so many good things for me in that time period of my life where I was struggling, internally, externally, everything, under the sun, basically. So it was like they really were pivotal in reaffirming that I made the right decision.
Yeah, surrounding yourself with a great community of people,
Yeah,
and it's very important. And you wouldn't have had them had you made it in Kansas City. You wouldn't
right,
have. This wouldn't have been the path that you would have been on, and you wouldn't have met the people that you met. So
exactly.
it's really important to always have faith and to follow the path that you're set on. Because to fight that path kind of leaves you nowhere. It leaves you stagnant. But to
Yeah,
go with the path that's being shown to you will often lead you exactly where you need to be.
yeah, I like that a lot. I think that sounds great. I mean, and that is, yeah, I think my career path is a perfect example of that as well.
Yeah. So speaking of your career path, we had talked a little bit and you're looking to move into commercial real estate. So are there any tips and tricks that you've learned about commercial real estate in general so far?
Still pretty fresh. I mean, I've kind of like dove headfirst into just real estate in general. I had an opportunity to get my real estate license through the state of Utah, which allows me to be a referral agent all across the United States. So that's kind of something that I've basically used as getting my feet wet in the industry. And then right now, I've just been trying to network as much as I can and meet professionals in the industry and talk to as many commercial real estate brokers as I can, get as many on the schedule as I can get. And so that's kind of what I've got planned. Next week, I'm meeting with one, great guy, Evan Lyons. and yeah, so it's just about trying to make connections and learn the business from the inside out. I think is the kind of the current situation I'm in, especially while I'm playing soccer. I got one more year on the contract, so it's about how can I get myself in a position where I'm ready to dive in head first when it comes to it.
Yeah, networking is a great way to do that because it doesn't require any sort of like studying. It doesn't require anything like that. It just requires meeting people, getting to know people. And I think what you're doing is a solid foundation to diving headfirst into real estate. Um, yeah. So do you have any other networking events that you attend or any plans for networking other than that?
Yeah, just in the off season, I have a couple in Kansas City that I'm looking to connect with. Um, yeah, I've had like we've talked about in the past. I've got a good community of people around me. Whether it be neighbors, whether it be teammates, who know somebody that they're trying to get me in touch with. So it's been great on that front, and just kind of like trying to take advantage of any and all intelligence that I can get about the industry, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you elaborate for our listeners a little bit about what the referral side of the real estate industry is?
Yeah, so referrals, like it's pretty basic. It kind of takes like all the paperwork out of my hands. All I'm really doing is say if Joe, you were looking for a house, didn't have an agent, you kind of give me a call if you would like, and then I can do that whole agent looking for you. And the idea behind it, I think, is that I am a little bit more inept on real estate and kind of know the ins and outs of it a bit better, so that way I can vet real estate agents for you a little bit better than maybe you would be able to if you didn't have any real estate experience. And so with that, then I connect you with maybe two or three real estate agents, and then you pick which one you like, and then from there they take over. I obviously keep in contact, but um, the financial side of it is that when you refer somebody, you're looking at 25% of the 6%, 3% commission on the back end of the deal. So that's where the
Okay.
finances come into play a little bit. But yeah, for me, it's not really about that, especially not in the short term. It's about relationships. A lot of the people that I'm referring or going to refer are friends and family and people that I care about. So it's less about the money and making sure that people are getting connected with professionals that I think are going to do a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. So just like for a comparison, it would be like going to a travel agent kind of like they hook you
Yeah,
up with the hotel.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or even a sports agent, for example.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different, but it's like I'm referring that to a sports agent, and they're going out and looking for teams that want to connect and potentially give me a contract. So it's very similar in that aspect.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's cool because there's really no, I don't want to say incentive because you do get paid, but there's no incentive. Your goal is to find the best person for your client, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And at
So
the end
there's
of
a
the day,
genuineness to it.
right.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, there's zero compensation if there's no deal done. So
Yeah.
the service is completely free until you get a house, and then it's not an extra cost. It just comes out of the commission at the end of the day from the agent that you use.
Okay. Yeah. That's that's really interesting because I always thought that that's what an agent did, kind of, if
Yeah,
that
I
makes
mean,
sense. Like I thought like that was there, but now there's even like a second middleman in
kind
between
of.
those.
I mean,
Yeah.
so the real idea behind that for me was, like I said before, it was just to kind of get my feet wet into the real estate business. But um, I think what that's more like the referral side of things is used for is, say that I have my license in Michigan, for example, right now. If
Yeah.
I had a good friend of mine moving to Missouri, wants to buy a house in Missouri, I'm not licensed there. Okay, maybe I call somebody in
Oh,
Missouri,
okay.
get them hooked up with them, and then you can still get that referral fee.
Mm.
Yeah, it's basically just a finder's fee, really. But a lot of times
Yeah.
that comes into play when you have clients moving from one state to another that you're not licensed in or don't know very well.
Okay, so it's just like another form of revenue for you. Like,
Yeah,
instead of me taking all these different tests, getting all these licenses, I'm just going to refer you to a person that I know in that area that could be perfect for you.
yeah, and well, to be fair, to become a referral agent, you have to be a fully licensed agent in one state. So
Okay.
you do have to take all the courses, the 120 hours or whatever it takes to pass the
Yeah.
national and the state course. But
Yeah.
once you become that, then you can go into a referral status within a brokerage, which will then put you in a situation where you can refer to other people for compensation. Because if you're not listed as a referral agent, you can't accept compensation over $500. So
Okay.
that's why you would go and do the referral fee so that you could get a higher commission once the deal's
Okay.
done. Yeah.
Okay. So you said that you were licensed in Utah. Are you also licensed in Michigan too? Like, do you have to be licensed in Utah in order to do this referral?
No, so the way the Utah situation worked out is I had
Yeah.
a decent connection with one of the other owners in the league, and he does real estate. And he was like, "Hey, I think I can get you a free real estate license." And the whole time I was just looking to do referrals anyway, so it didn't matter which state you get it in, as long as you're licensed in any state and you have a brokerage to put your license in, you can start referring. So the Utah was I was able to get the Utah state license for free.
Mm.
So I passed my national and state real estate license for free, and so that basically eliminated. It's not a bunch. I don't know what it is. Probably $200 to $400 to get your license, but
Yeah.
it eliminated that, right? And it allowed me to just really go headfirst in there and start getting to work. Really,
Yeah, absolutely. And also that was a connection too through soccer.
yeah,
And
exactly.
where'd you meet him? Did you meet him before or after Kansas?
After, so it was actually, well, I met him through a mutual friend in Kansas City,
Okay.
who I played with, and he just kind of connected me because it was maybe at one point in time it looking like maybe I'll go play for his team, but then that kind of fell through, and we just kind of maintained a relationship from there.
Yeah, okay. So it's all about your connections. Again,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Had that never happened, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Is there any reason particularly that you wanted to go into real estate? Did anything that attracted you specifically to it?
That's actually funny because I really don't like residential real estate. Um, I don't like the idea of having to sell to my friends and family and people that I feel close to. Um, but I did an externship in Denver through the USL Players Association. They put on a little um, no cost externship with CBRE, one of the world's honestly biggest commercial real estate companies, and spent a week there. And I actually kind of fell in love with it. It was like a little bit of it's investment banking, but with assets, with properties.
Hmm.
So it's it's very similar to the finance world. You're just using a building as your investment.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I fell in love with it, and then I kind of did everything. Kind of just took off from there. And so then that's kind of where I've been with that. I like the idea of self-motivated income. I like the
Yep.
idea of using personal skill and interpersonal skills to communicate with people and build relationships with people. And I think that's something that I am good at. So it was about kind of what can I do after soccer that plays to my skill set, really.
Yeah, and I think athletes in general have a very self-motivated you have to have a
Yeah,
self-motivated skill set because you have to be able to put in the work, put in those hours, and sometimes you may not start, sometimes you may get cut, and that's something that you have to take into consideration when you're putting in the work.
right,
And you know, there may not be output when you put in the input, but there definitely won't be output if you don't put in any input.
right. Yeah,
So you have to like stay true to always working, always networking, always showing up with a smile on your face, regardless of if you got that last sale or not.
right.
Because
And
that's yeah,
it's a very dynamic industry as well, which I think will help me transition, from playing soccer and playing a sport which I love, um, and going from that day to day to the real business world where, sometimes depending on what you do, it can be a little mundane, it can be a little monotonous. I think there's enough dynamic aspects of real estate that will keep me intrigued and keep me motivated.
yeah, especially the self motivating part. Because rather than like, oh, I'm waking up to make someone else money, which you are, because you do have to refer to other people. But every time you make a phone call, every time you make a referral, Every time
Right.
you do what you're supposed to do and you execute, you're making yourself money. So
Right.
it's like you said, self-motivated, and it's a great way, I believe, to make income, because
Yeah.
I personally, that's the route that I want to go when I get out of college, is a
Yeah.
self-motivating income.
Right. I think it's just, and I don't like feeling capped. I think
Mm.
I want to be in something that, it's like a little bit limitless potential where, if I want to put a ton of effort in, I might see those rewards, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm putting in a ton of effort and I don't have any upward mobility or any chance at really receiving what I'm worth, in my opinion. So that's kind of another reason why I chose that.
Yeah. And you're not like gunning for anyone else's job. It's just
Right.
how good can you be at what you do. That's it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not, oh, well, now I'm the assistant director, and to become the director has to bounce. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or I have to take his job. There's
Yeah.
no competition that way, because I
Right.
feel like that's kind of a toxic competition in an environment. But
Yeah.
if it's positive, where it's like, hey, I got a sale. Oh, I got a sale too. You're both building on each other.
Yeah. You
So
make
I
each other
think,
better.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. For sure.
absolutely. So I like that kind of competitive environment, one where everyone wins, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that seems like that's going to be the realm that you're going to be in.
Yeah. I hope so. I'm looking forward to the next chapter. Obviously I got, the rest of this season and the next season to really give it a go and make the most out of my playing career. But when that time comes to hang up the boots, I'm looking forward to the next steps and next chapter where I can really just throw all my energy into it and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually met through Manny, right? Manny's a mutual connection of both
Yeah.
of us. And Manny's been helping you out, transition, giving you some advice when it comes to, transitioning from sports to business, because that's what Manny did. So how's your relationship with Manny, and how has he helped you transition into being a business person?
Yeah, for sure. And just so people listening understand, I know him as Zembro.
Yeah,
So if I refer to him as that, then we're talking about the same person. But
yeah,
no, for me, Zimbro he's been an unbelievable person for me. Again, when I went through a very traumatic experience in my life, he was there for me, and he's just kind of one of those people that will always have your back, thick or thin, and you want to reciprocate that as many times as you can. And yeah, for me, he's been pivotal. He's given me some great financial advice, and also helped connect me with people that he's with, including yourself, Joe, where we can make ourselves better and learn from other people. And so I think he's constantly doing that, and he's doing what he can to help us grow as individuals, financially, personally, everything under the sun, really. So he's a really good connection, a really good friend, and yeah, I got nothing but good things to say about Zembro.
yeah, absolutely. When I had him on, his word was empowerment, and it made perfect sense, because afterwards, all he did was empower me to be a better podcaster. Comments on all my reels. He's always sending me people, always hitting me up like, "Hey, how you doing? How's everything going?"
Yeah,
And it's empowering is the word.
yeah,
He gives you some tools, a lot of tools to help you be a better version of yourself. So
I agree.
I give him a lot of credit to the interviews I had, especially the one like this interview right now. Wouldn't have happened without him.
Right. Yeah, he's
And
just such a good person. He just like you said, he's a motivator. He's a genuine person, and he's trying to make everybody around him better. So
yeah.
he's a good dude.
And whenever you're around someone like that too, you feed on it.
Oh yeah,
It rubs off on you, and you become a better person. And you want to be like that for other people because of how it makes you feel.
yeah. I'm a big energy guy, and he's a good energy to have around, and like you said, feed off of it, and and just become a better person, really.
Yeah. I've noticed that whenever I talk to him, he doesn't go, "How has it been?" He goes, "Tell me something good that's happened since I've talked to you last." So it's
Yeah,
very specific. It's, "No, I don't want to hear how have you been, because I can go anywhere." He goes, "Tell me something good that's happened since I spoke to you last."
yeah. He's good
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Get your mind right when you
Yeah,
think positive things and when you think positive thoughts.
exactly.
Yeah. And So you are looking to, with real estate, right? You are
Hmm.
looking to be a real estate agent in Michigan, completely, correct?
Um, I'm less geographically bound, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe when soccer ends, if it means that I go back to Kansas City, then I'll start the career there. Yeah, we just have to, obviously, me and Grace have to make some decisions on that and figure out where we're going next and kind of where we want our life to be. So those decisions aren't set in stone. We'll have to
Okay.
take some time to evaluate the situation when it comes.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the referral business, you have the freedom to do that. You have the freedom to be anywhere, especially if you can refer anyone to anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the referral business, speaking candidly on it, I think that is really something that's only short term for me.
yeah,
It was a way to get me into the business, way to get me into the industry where I could learn things, where I could meet people. It was a good foot in the door because when you're talking to a real estate agent and you tell them, "Hey, I'm a referral agent," they now want to speak with you. Um, and if you got business to refer to them, then you become a good connection immediately. So I think that's short term. I think that's something I wanted to do when I was playing, so that way when I get home from practice, the wheels are still turning a little bit. um, but yeah, I think post soccer, um, it'll become more of like hopefully a commercial real estate agent into a broker, where I can get those deals done and start you know seeing some money.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you said that you weren't really too keen on the residential, so you're gonna try to stick to commercial as much as possible.
Yeah, I like the idea of it. I like how it's basically positioned as an investment, and um, you're working with facts and numbers. You're not trying to sell people on their dream homes. I think that's difficult. I think um, it's just hard to have that relationship, in my opinion. But there's a bunch of people that
Yeah,
are very good at it and can do it flawlessly. But for me, it's just a little uncomfortable to try to sell friends and family and close connections to like on a dream home. It's just difficult for me to
yeah,
fathom. So
yeah. You would almost want to approach it completely logical,
yeah,
and not there's so many emotions involved in it, right? Like,
yeah,
oh well,
it's a good way of
this I
putting it.
know this one's 20,000 more, but I've always wanted a sunroom, and you're like, well, it's really not economically viable. But
Yeah,
some real estate agents they have a mindset where it's like, okay, it's what you want, here you go,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you would just
Or
yeah,
you're trying to sell, you're trying to sell a house that doesn't have everything they want uh, to a friend or family member, and you're like, no, you really should do it. And it's like that's kind of where it gets a little gray for me.
that's
Yeah,
even a little word. That's yeah,
yeah. So I figured I'd just keep my hands clean of that and
yeah,
try to look for good real estate agents for my friends and family.
yeah, absolutely. And the commercial side of it too, like you said, that's strictly numbers. That's, is this going to be economically viable for your business? Does it have everything you need? Does it? Yep, here, sign
Yeah,
dotted line right here.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So that's
and
the idea, at least. I obviously it's there's a lot of learning to do, and it's definitely not easy, and there's a ramp up period, and it's growing connections and everything like that. But um, it's just something I'm super intrigued by.
yeah. Yeah, and I hope all that works out for you too, man. The referral business, and then from there, growing as a commercial real estate broker. I mean, it's definitely, real estate's a rough industry right now. So I
Yeah.
do wish you the best of luck when it comes to that.
Well, thanks,
Absolutely.
Joe. You're
Yeah,
definitely right about that.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully you'll get in right at the good time, right? You'll be a
Yeah,
referral agent for a little bit. Market will start to come back to normal, and
we'll
that's right when you
see.
start
We'll
out.
see. It's interesting because obviously the interest rates and stuff are really high right now, but when the interest rates come down, you might get a little bit more competitive into the space, and so then it's like, okay, then you get bidding wars, and it's like you might in the long run not save as much money as you'd think you would, instead of maybe get going in on a house now and refinancing and stuff like that. So there's so many little games to play where you're like, okay,
Mm,
do I go in now? It's just expensive right now, so that's the real hang up. But I don't
yeah,
know, it's a tough one to call. It's just everybody's individual is a
yeah.
decision is a bit different. So
Yeah, and when you could be your own real estate broker for the first time when if you guys decide to move, you can do that whole thing just as a
Exactly.
test run. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little murky the way you have to do that. You have to like, you obviously have to fully um, release that you're gonna be your own broker, and so then it like, because obviously you're negotiating on behalf of yourself, and so some interesting things go at play when you represent yourself, but you can do it.
Mm.
It's just a little bit more murky, as I said.
Can you speak specifically on what's murky about it? Like I thought that it would be even like you didn't even have to say that. I thought you could just be like, "Oh, like what's going
Well,
on?"
you definitely have to like you have to tell um, this like if I was going to buy a house, you have to tell the seller like, listen, I'm negotiating on behalf of myself. I am my own agent, and it's well, it it's really not that much more difficult. It's just you have to jump through a couple of hoops just to get to the point where everything's laid out on the table between you and the seller. I'm you know representing myself. We're looking out for our own interests, and that's kind of where my cards are going to be on the table, right? I'm going to keep everything close to the chest. Um, and yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to come to a conclusion, I think, when you're working with an agent on your own behalf, because then you're obviously your own interests are at play. So it's more difficult to come to a deal, I believe.
Yeah. Almost like because if some people do that and they don't have the experience that you have and the licenses that you have, an agent might be like, "Oh, like do they really know what they're talking about?" They may talk to you like, "Oh, you don't not that you don't know, but like, "Oh,
Yeah,
do you,
exactly,
I'm an
exactly.
agent, you're not," stuff like
Right.
that.
So
So,
that you
yeah.
have to let that stuff out from the jump, so that there's no confusion and that everybody's kind of aware of what's going on.
Okay. Yeah. No, it definitely sounds like an interesting thing to negotiate on your own behalf with someone who's so experienced in the industry.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, Matt, I heard, not heard, you texted me that you have a quote to share for us. Should you want to share that quote right now?
Yeah, it's real simple. I've actually heard it recently, and I just kind of fell in love with it a little bit. It's no rain, no flowers. It's real simple, um, but I resonate with it a little bit because obviously through my career path, you could easily see some rain, but and this is all metaphorical, obviously. Rain's speaking on behalf of things that don't go your way, down times in your life, downturns, anything traumatic, anything like that. But on the other side of that, you can see the beauty and connections and friendships and moments that you take pride in. And it's like without the difficult times in your life, you can't really feel emotionally the high times in your life. I think you need both. I think it's important to feel both sides of the spectrum. And yeah, I love that one. It's super simple, but it means a lot to me.
Yeah. It's how life goes, because I heard a metaphor kind of like that, how there's ups and downs in life. And like on a heart monitor, there's an up and there's a down as
Right.
the heart's beating. And if you don't have ups and downs, it means you're dead.
Yeah.
So you got to
Yeah.
embrace ups and downs because it means you're alive. It's what life's about. And without rain, you wouldn't know what sunshine feels like. Without
Exactly.
rain, like your quote, you wouldn't have flowers. You
Yeah.
wouldn't have you wouldn't have anything beautiful in life if you didn't know what rain
Pain
felt
was.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, pain was.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
So you need both, and you need to be able to feel both and fully experience both. I think, and go through the difficult moments in life to really appreciate the good ones.
absolutely, Matt. It's been a pleasure having you on, man.
It was a
I
pleasure,
really,
Joe.
yeah, absolutely. It was nice getting to hear about your background, your experience, playing soccer, and also the real estate knowledge that you have too. Because I personally don't have a lot of real estate knowledge. My dad's a wealth portfolio manager, so the investment side of it, the intangible asset side of it, if you will, I have
Right.
some experience in, but not really with physical assets or real estate or anything like that. So it's interesting to see, that side of finance.
Well, I appreciate that. Obviously, there's a lot for me to learn, and I'm still pretty fresh on it, and so that's why I am trying to learn as much as I can. But no, it's been a good journey, and I'm just kind of starting it, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely, man.
and
Is
it was
there
great speaking with you
any
as well.
yeah, any socials or anything that people can follow you on that you want to drop? Or I could just drop them down below if you want me to do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I think all my socials are MattyLou03. So if you did want to follow, then that's where you'd see me. I'm not super present on all of them.
Mm,
I kind of just lurk and keep up with my friends and family, but yeah, I think that might have to change a little bit in the next once I really bunker down on the real estate. So we'll see.
yeah, absolutely. Manny's a good resource for that too if
He
you
is. He's very
want
good
to talk to him
at
about
social
it.
media. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely, man. But yeah, it was a pleasure having you on.
pleasure
And
with you, Joe.
for everyone that's still listening, thanks for listening. Follow us on Instagram at Excelcast. Follow us on Spotify at Excelcast, TikTok, we're Excelcast, and YouTube as well. We are also Excelcast. And as always, stay blessed and excel.
Excelcast.